Brendan's flying to the ground at this point, and he's flying backwards like this. Float, 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 float. And he goes, I thought I was never going to hit the ground. He said, it felt like a slow motion fall. I can't believe it. He goes, I know I hit the ground in a matter of seconds. But he says, I felt like I was float, float. I said, listen, your whole life was flashing before your eyes. That's why you were going so slow. He says, but I don't remember anything. I said, that's because you lived. I said, if you died, you would have remembered everything that flashed before you. You lived. Just float, 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 float. And the air pack that's half loose is off his back a little bit. It starts to pull him over. He goes, I gotta be getting close to the ground, and I'm gonna flip, and I'm gonna hit my head. What could I do? And he tucks his chin. As soon as he tucks his chin, he actually hits the ground, but the air pack comes up first and slams him in his back. Breaks his sternum, breaks a bunch of ribs, which puncture a lung, and he hits the ground, and he does crack his head a little bit off the ground. He's disoriented in the backyard, but he's awake. He's not breathing very well because he's only got one lung, so he's in a position where he's trying to move around to see how he can breathe pretty good. The guys get to him, and they're trying to hold him down. And he's fighting with them because he can't breathe. But I go, you were being a bad patient. He says, yeah, but I couldn't breathe. I wanted to be in a position I could breathe. They got him on his side, and that's how they actually brought him out of the backyard, because he could breathe pretty good on his side. They bring him out, they tried to stabilize him. They didn't really know what was wrong with him. They get him to the hospital. Broken ribs, broken sternum, a little cracked skull. That's it. 6 days later, he walked out of the hospital, went back home. Walked out of the hospital 6 days later. But mentally, now he was the only one of us that could go back full duty and fight fires again, but mentally, it took him 3 years to do that. And he did it, he went back, but it took him 3 years of working light duty to go back to work. Because he couldn't bring himself to heights, he had to get back into the burn building and figure things out. He did it though, he goes back. First job back, it hits the fan again. First job back. They pull up to a job that's blowing out 2 windows. They're on the floor above. They were second due. They get up there. They lose water on the fire floor. As soon as the chauffeur got hooked up or set up, he comes around the rig, and now it's blowing out 5 windows. And he gets on the radio and says, they're losing it up there, and they're all bailing out of this apartment. Thank God they're bailing back out into the hallway and not into out the windows or anything. They get them out into the hallway, they regroup, they get water, they go in, they put the fire out, it's all done. But it hit the fan the first job back. He comes out of the building, walks up to that chauffeur, who was the senior man, just retired last year, and says, Paul, is every job in the Bronx like this? Paul says, I don't know, but I'm getting out of your groups because you're going to get somebody killed. He's been back 7 years now, doing just fine. Fighting fires in 27 trucks. Doing just fine. But he walked out of the hospital 6 days later. If there's a miracle on this day, it's him. Okay? People call me a miracle for things that happen with me, but he's a miracle. I'm hanging outside that window at this point, stuck to this window gate. But my thought is, man, it's a lot cooler out here than it was in there. But somebody better come get me, or I better fall. Because if fire blows out that window below me, I'm going to get cooked. I know how much fire I got in here. What's going on down below? Are they losing it down there? Right after I thought that, I fell. I do not remember falling to the ground. I don't remember hitting the ground. I don't remember nothing until I woke up in the backyard. We looked at my injuries later on, and we figured out how I felt. I never moved when I was going to the ground. I flew straight to the ground, feet first. Hit my right leg first. It exploded. Tib and the fib and the ankle was mangled. From the knee down, it was put back together with metal on both sides of both bones. Tib and the fib were through the leg, the ankle was mangled. It was a mess. Left leg came down a hair after that, and because I was probably a little cocked, and it buckled, and it blew out. I blew the knee out. Totally reconstructed knee. The ligaments are all donor ligaments that reconstructed that knee, but I did not break any bones in that leg. But it's totally reconstructed knee because I totally blew the knee out.